Quiet on the set. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Welcome to Mondays with Myrt. Wow, where we talk about anything and everything that's come across our Genia desk since last we met. You know, I was talking with panelist Dan Maloney the other day, and stuff is happening so quickly, we can't keep up with it, especially meeting every other Monday as we've been doing in 2025. But it does give me a chance to catch up with real life things. Anyway, let's introduce the panelists. Hi, Ellen. Good to see you. So we do have a picture on Facebook. I got to see you there at RootsTech.
Right.
And wonderful to see you. Let's talk about the two of our panelists that work the YouTube side.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to mention thank you to Melinda Coupon. She's also a member of Book Club, and you all will see her during the book club that starts 15 minutes after Mondays with Myrt concludes. She made a pretty interesting proof summary based on 3 women by the same name. That was her homework. Anyway, but Ellen, Sherry brought up some interesting points. Let's talk about that.
Well, Sherry was mentioning in the green room that genealogists really do embrace new ideas like DNA, like artificial intelligence, full text search, I mean, and I really feel that we do.
Yeah, we're not just old fuddy-duddies sitting around knitting, although some of us knit and some of us, like me, quilt. I think that old people kind of get a bad rap because there are a lot of pretty smart cookies, as evidenced by who's on the panel. Dan, you're our token young guy. Yeah, so thanks to Melinda and Sherry for being on the YouTube side and keeping you guys in line over there. Not that that's a tough deal. Dan, you and I did a recording this week, an impromptu one. Can you tell us?
I had a lot of fun.
That? Yeah, tell us about it.
So on Friday, we got together and discussed some of the basics of starting up a Substack account. So being able to register for an account, to comment, to leave notes, and just to kind of get your feet wet with Substack as a reader. And in the future, I think maybe we can talk a little bit more about some of the writing side too. I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm getting the hang of making posts. And one of the things, I just sent out a link that includes the title to our recording that we did. I kind of messed up on the beginning because I welcome to Mondays with Myrt instead of Substack Explain, but I digress. Anyway, so there is, I see that we've got to put a little space between so the URL works. Okay, there we go. That should be better for you guys. Okay, good. And then Randy, we decided in the green room that you never sleep. You're always pretty busy. In fact, yesterday we were in a webinar together and we talked about RootsTech. And you have a wonderful Saturday Night Genealogy Fun post. Talk to me about the impetus for that.
Well, Saturday Night Genealogy Fun is a weekly occurrence here, in which I try to inspire other bloggers to write something about a topic and fail miserably, but 4 or 5 usually do, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
So this week's topic was, darn, I can't remember now. What were your, last week's topic was, what did you like best about RootsTech 2025? Whether you attended in person or attended virtually.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote a blog post about that and also put my 3 blog posts from the daily summaries in.
Mm-hmm. So I've got your blog post and I sent the link out while you were talking. Normally you send out the links and I really appreciate it. And let me zoom in a little bit on this.
I forgot.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So in talking about RootsTech 2025, there are some interesting things. What were your favorite things?
Oh, my favorite things were I just enjoy CC Moore.
Oh, yes,
and
brilliant.
her talk about, I thought it was going to be more about more case studies. Really, it was just about Henry Louis Gates' ancestry, in addition to some history about how she got tied into Henry Louis Gates. I was there when they walked through the hotel the first year in 2013 that she was there. And so she told stories about her journey, Gates's journey, and now he's going to be sitting in the chair opening his book with Cece as the teller, as the storyteller.
But switching positions, yes.
Yeah. So that's cool. I don't think he's done her though. That might be interesting too.
Yes, that would be. Although I'm quite sure that she is pretty well worked up both her paper trail family tree as well as her DNA trees. And she is I don't know, she's the mother of all and was the first one to be working with forensic genealogy.
She was really the catalyst, for
it. Yeah. Well, thanks for including that part. The concept of being able to go back and view so many of the presentations at RootsTech really extends the learning for us, doesn't it?
Yep.
Really does.
Yep.
All right. So there's the information about linking to that class. And you did the Randy Knott at RootsTech Day 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And then these were your second place things: innovation, RootsTech Innovation, and Tech Forum. So
that was excellent because it's new stuff. This is what the companies are working on. So you had Stephen Nielsen of Adobe, which I had never looked at before. Yuri Gonin from MyHeritage about Cousin Finder. Brown of Storied, and they now have a Storied Assistant, an app that you can talk to, AI. Paul Allen, I don't think I've ever heard him speak before.
Oh, I have, but then
you were Salt Lake, yeah.
Well, and also when he was Ancestry.com before they sold out, I was in meetings with him, and he's a smart guy on a million different levels at once.
Yep, agreed.
So he's definitely an innovator.
So he has FamilyScribe.ai. It's a AI-powered tool for audio and video stories. And so it's subscription. But that sounds interesting. It's where we're going, I mean, we'll see what happens.
So there he's linked for you guys because he's such a wonderful blogger. He's given the link, not just talked about Paul Allen's presentation, and then you can just click through to watch it.
Yep.
What about the guy from Remento?
I thought Remento was fascinating. So he spoke about it, capturing and preserving life stories, and a Remento book from voice input to a mobile app. So that's different. They can clean it up. So the recording goes to transcript and then gets put in a book. And there's links then to the transcript. There's links to the voice, the recording.
You did a story, my story thing, Randy, where you received an email and you typed your response and you could add a graphic, etc., and you ended up with a book. This was a MyHeritage product. Now, this is still email coming, isn't it? An email reminder to
I
use
don't
the
remember.
program Memento.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
A week.
Well, we can find out.
Yeah.
We can definitely find out. You've given us the link.
If that interests you, then click on that link.
Yeah.
Just go to remento.com probably.
Yeah.
Or go to the in the expo hall on rootstep.org to see more. So but that's intriguing. I mean, remember a year ago now we had Emulate Me, where you could record your voice and then and upload a picture, and then you could ask that avatar questions. And I did that, and then did nothing more with it because people were really concerned about privacy and deep fakes. The deep fakes were just coming out then, and I haven't heard anything more from Emulate Me. But remember,
I saw them at RootsTech. Did you, Ellen?
No, I didn't. I did interview the man from Memento because he was on Shark Tank, and I wanted to learn about that experience.
Yeah. Okay, I've got to turn off my phone. I'm starting to get those. I saw you at RootsTech. I'd like to, could we do an interview? That's good to get those kind of messages. We're getting a lot of comments from the community, and I want to bring them in for a minute here. I'm going to kind of take a break. Gwenny is saying good morning from San Diego, and thank you for reminding us that it's St. Patrick's Day. I did wear green, so did, let's see, Dan, you wore a little green, slightly different color. And Valerie's here. Yeah, that's significant. The AI presentation that Steve Little gave included a big shout out and a complete slide about your compendium of all the experiments you've done with AI that have shown up in your blog. Your compendium's a good idea. That way things don't get lost. Yeah, that's to have the creator of the AI course for the National Genealogical Society to call you out and draw attention to the work that you do. Congratulations, Randy. That's way cool.
Thank you. It was a big surprise. I watched it live.
It took your breath away, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Well, it's well deserved. We're all saying congratulations about that. And Dan wrote out there from Dublin, Ontario. I keep forgetting that it's Dublin, Ontario, not Dublin. That tells us why we need to specify. There's more than one Dublin in the world. Sherry out there is saying good morning. It's supposed to be in the 70s and then rain and snow chance on Wednesday. Melinda's saying happy St. Patrick's Day. There's my friend John Tracy Cunningham, who I met in person. He came for Mondays with Myrt. You'll recall that last year. And I didn't, when you look at somebody's little tiny profile in StreamYard, like I'm looking at the screen now, it doesn't quite register. I actually know a lot of gentlemen with beautiful white hair and a goatee and mustache. Mr. Myrt is one of them. And so I didn't recognize you when you came in, John, into the recording studio there at the Family Search Library. I thought you came in with Roberta. So I asked her to introduce you, and she's like, I just met him. But anyway, wonderful to see you. Marcia's saying she's there in Kansas. Sean said he's representing the Midwest part of the United States. And a shout out to the middle part of the United States and into the Atlanta area for those tornadoes. Very difficult time with weather. Somebody's saying, letting Sean know. Oh, Gwenny's saying, DNA from Wisconsin, Swedish and Dutch. And I spent time talking to Kathy Mead from Archive Digital. She's US based, but she's the Swedish expert we like to turn to. So keep that name in mind, Gwen. There's Deb and Bev, not too far away from me. It's a tad chilly. I think it's just the moisture in the air, which happens when I live on an island, and you do too there in Victoria, British Columbia. Okay, so I think that Sean and Gwen, if they aren't actual cousins, they're locality cousins. They have a locality bingo, and they can benefit by collaborating on the type of records that have happened to survive in those same areas where their ancestors once lived. There's Linda from Cincy and Kathleen. I think that is, it's a bit of the Irish, isn't it? I love it. Hi, Karen. And let's see, Cindy Bray. Gosh, everybody's here. And there's Melinda. Glad that you are here. Oh, hi, Lori. Good to see you, kiddo. Let's see what Gwen says. One of the new family search databases that Randy highlighted was Irish Catholic Church records. And so she discovered a Rydell line she didn't know was in Dublin. Nice to know that she has Southern and Northern Ireland research. Interesting. Mark your calendar to watch CC Moore on April 8th. So thank you, Valerie, for filling in the blank of when is that interesting reveal that CC Moore does as she presents her research to the usual host of Finding Your Roots. Check your local PBS station. Do you get that up in Canada, Finding Your Roots?
Yeah,
We do. Yeah.
Okay, good. And you get the current season.
right. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like when they do something over in England and we get it like 8 or 10 months later.
No.
Okay. Okay, Sherry says the online library holds RootsTech presentations back to 2019. Thank you for that. Okay, and Randy shared the link. Randy, on my behalf, I really wish they would let you be you. But it's a thing. At least you can share the links. And Betty Lou is out there. So nice that you were recognized for your work. Love the class that Laura Hedgecock did, Practical Tools for Family History Writers using AI as your editor. You know, that's something that would be probably good for old Myrt. Unless I read my blog post, and I don't blog that frequently, I rather talk. You know me. If I read it to Mr. Myrt, he'll say, wait a minute, I see this and this, but I'm not sure how you got there. I kind of am describing the elephant and assuming you can see the elephant just like I'm seeing it. And so he helps me in that regard. But it would be good to try AI as your editor. So this is good. I've had people say they did not like keynote speakers unless they were genealogists, like when Judy Russell did her, if you don't document, the story of that family will be lost in 3 generations. But I kind of like seeing how they're not regular folks, they're famous people, relate to their family, to tradition, to their culture, and how it's expressed in subsequent generations. Sherry says she enjoyed Denise Allen's presentation about using ChatGPT as your personal writing coach. Interesting perspectives. All right. Is there anything else back on your there's a screenshot right then and there. I'm tickled. So you are very much missed being there in person, but your influence and you felt for the good. It really is. So you mentioned that a lot of people responded Like here's Lisa Gurrell or Linda Stufflebean's posts on the topic, or Liz Tapley. They reacted to your request to talk about what did they like about RootsTech. Let's see. Let me get everybody up on the screen. Ellen, what did you like first, second, and third about being able to go in person to RootsTech?
Well, I've been going since the very beginning. So from 3,000 people to I don't know how many thousands of people are there. But I spent a lot of time in the expo hall.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy, seeing all the products and being able to maybe touch them and try them out. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I spent a lot of time in the expo hall.
I'm finding that, well, I've done that most of the years I've gone. I've gone to very few presentations, principally the ones that weren't recorded.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm finding I'm only good for about 2 to 3.5 hours, and then I am zonked. And it's because of the high altitude and trying to breathe. I get out of breath. You'd think you could do it, but that's why I moved here. That's why we had to move.
And then being on the media team, I have to spend a lot of time in the media area to record various people that come in to be interviewed. So, yeah.
I get that. You're kind of busy.
Yeah. It's fun, though.
Yeah.
And then you end up getting a cold.
I didn't get a cold, and I hugged a lot of people, so I lucked out.
Yeah.
Dan, what's your take about RootsTech? I don't know where you're coming from on this. We've been talking about Substack, so.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun watching RootsTech this year from afar.
Yes.
I find there's really so many ways to get involved in what's happening at RootsTech, even behind the scenes stuff. There's stuff that you shared, Myrt, that were behind the scenes photographs that I thought was really interesting to see, and some other people that I'm connected with that were actually there. Mission Genealogy, which is Robin and Barbara from Project Kin. They did some ride-alongs with RootsTech, so they would do kind of live videos, and it really brought the community aspect to people that could only attend online, like myself.
Mm-hmm. I had anticipated doing some ambush cams like I used to do, but I just couldn't do it. I mean, I schlepped the equipment with me. I've streamlined it, and I've got the equipment. I know how to use it, but I don't have the physical stamina anymore. So I just mostly, it takes all my effort to just be nice. So it's nice to see the younger crowd coming through and taking up the challenge to provide spontaneous short subject videos as they go around. I did one interview, and that's with the tree wolf of WikiTree. So Erwin and I are good friends from before she joined WikiTree. And it took, I always try to stand up because otherwise the person I'm interviewing has to get on their knees. Like when John and I took our picture, he had to kneel down beside me. I say, you had to get down to my level. Well, I don't want to do that to anyone that I'm interviewing. And chairs are not available to, I don't have a booth, for instance. And I wasn't willing to shell out $900 for one. Yesterday, let's see. I want to ask you about those ride-along videos. I have not seen any of them. And Project Genealogy or Genealogy.
Mission Genealogy.
Mission Genealogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these are all new people to me, and I'm learning, and I love them because they have been so welcoming and more than just being nice, they have spent hours teaching us how to use Substack and are at the ready and are so positive and are excited to see. I mean, this is a whole group of genealogy writers that I've never met before. And I love meeting people. Randy, I thought we knew everybody. We don't. There's a whole nother group there. So tell me about, I was very concerned about sound quality because they had a live band in the exhibit hall. And it was sometimes a mariachi band and sometimes something else. And it's noisy anyway in a large exhibit hall. A lot of excitement going on. So how did it work out? Thank you for doing the Project Kin link.
So with the Mission Genealogy ride-alongs, they were in many ways kind of like a recap, and they would do them daily, and they would have Barbara, who was at home, and somebody who was in the who had attended RootsTech that day, and they would give kind of a brief recap of it, and they would have kind of different pop-ups throughout the day. It was fun to get a notification whenever they went live in my inbox from Substack. And I thought it was a really neat way to find the community in RootsTech from afar.
Okay, so it wasn't that they were doing an interview with somebody like my. I'm not sure where that sound feedback is coming from. But anyway,
they were in like separate rooms and stuff like that. I thought the audio quality was great, and it was a really great production. Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer Maria's question, did they have any hands-on workshops this year? I don't know the answer to that.
I think they did, but I didn't participate.
Okay. And in the past, when I've taught like a computer lab workshop with cousin Russ and one time Drew Smith from the genealogy guys helped, you had to pay extra to do that. So I wasn't aware of that during the sign-up process to get a pass. I did not see anything like that, but I registered very early for me, and then like 2 days before we left for Mr. Myrt. So maybe when I registered, they hadn't been set up yet.
I don't know. I thought there was something, but I might be mistaken.
What they did do, and we learned this, Maria, from Miles Meyer, is they had 2 curtained off areas in the exhibit hall, very close to where the main stage was and the media hub. And so these were curtains that were 8 feet tall. One was for Spanish language, and one was, Myers did 2 live presentations in the other one, and I don't know who else did. And I said, the curtains aren't very thick. It's the same black curtain that would subdivide the various booths in the vendor hall or exhibit hall. And he said what they did was he wore a headset, and everyone in his audience wore a headset. And initially, his area was planned for 20 people, but they added 20 more chairs and brought in 20 more headsets so that they could get rid of the sound that was occurring. The mariachi band was, I guess if he was doing Irish, he could do a jig. I don't know. But no, they wouldn't be hearing any of that noise. It's noisy in exhibit hall. Yeah. I'm noticing that both Hillary and Frank have joined us. Did you all just go on daylight savings time?
No, we didn't.
You just both happen to be like, if you didn't live in different countries Distinct
We-
different
no.
countries. You both arrived at the same time. So what we've done is we've kind of rehashed some of the things that are going on as far as people attending either live or virtually. RootsTech. Let's see. Karen said Johnny Pearl was so neat to meet in person. Took the time to give her a one-on-one. What are the odds? Nothing like learning from the creator. And the newer version is amazing and much more user-friendly.
Oh, I can't wait to finally try DNA Painter one day.
Okay, good. Glad you're making progress. Sherry says there were several, and the fee was on the schedule as you added classes to your personal plan. So that was after you'd already paid for your $99 pass, and now you're working on your personal plan, which I did not do because I knew I wasn't going to go to very many classes. Little did I know I wouldn't even be spending much time in the exhibit hall. Yes, Valerie is referring to the Family Tree Maker booth. And you may see pictures of the booth. You know, cousin Russ, my real cousin Russ, thanks to our Quaker ancestors in Pennsylvania around 1679. He was an expert on Family Tree Maker software. And Duff Wilson, who was the original developer like eons ago, he and cousin Russ got along so well, and they had a lot of conversations back and forth. And in the past, Matt Kiev has given one entire side of their booth, which is usually pretty large at RootsTech and sometimes NGS, totally given over to cousin Russ's help bar. And they took a picture that I took of him from Zoom and enlarged it and made it look like a painting. And then they have officially named the help bar Worthington's Help Bar. So what a wonderful tribute to him. And believe me, people noticed it and came up to me and were saying, have you seen it? Have you seen it? And like, it took me a while to approach it, and I managed to do it without crying. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. So in the past, his picture was there, not the painting, on one side, and then in the middle it said we get by with a little help from our friends, and then my Dear Myrtle graphic, the line graphic, was on the other side. So I'd often hang out with cousin Russ. Anyway, it's all good. All right, so Hillary and Frank, Hillary, I know, wants to talk about some changes to WikiTree. Are you ready to do that, or should I talk to Frank first?
You can talk to Frank first. I'll bring up a profile, and then we can screen share. Unless you want to share screen share.
Yeah. So what we'll do is you can start your screen share, but I just won't turn it on for everybody to view. And I'll know you're ready to go when I see it down here in StreamYard. So Frank, what have you been doing? Did you watch any of the RootsTech events remotely in Germany?
Yes, actually, I watched the presentation by Diana Elder.
Okay.
Efficient Locality Research with AI, Discovering New Adventures. And it was quite fascinating, actually, because not only did she talk about what AA can do and can't do, but also in the syllabus, she gave us 2 custom ChatGPTs.
Okay.
One done by herself and one done by Mark Thompson.
Okay, we know Mark. He's a partner in crime to Steve Little. Yeah. Okay. And so somebody's sharing their screen. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Must have slipped. Let me get back to you, dear. By the
worry.
way, you guys did a great job last week when I barely talked to you during Mondays with Myrt at RootsTech 2 weeks ago. Thank you for doing it, for being there and doing the sound check and all that. So, what was your take on that AI class that you attended?
It was quite for the beginners in general. So Diana talked about that. Obviously, AI can't know everything, which is totally true. And also, AI tries to find solution for problems that it can't answer and hallucinates. But
Mm-hmm.
if it knows something, it tells kinda the truth, kinda
Kind of.
in a certain way, because I tried out the ChatGPT custom prompts myself with local research that I know of. So I tried it once with my hometown now and my home village where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
Both answers was not 100% correct, but obviously when you have a researcher in the field, he knows the locality way better than any
Mm-hmm.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a nice start.
And that does point out the need to be cautious.
Yes.
And how are you at composing a prompt, seeing the results, and then continuing the conversation by saying, you do realize that this part isn't true. Please check your, please reconsider.
I did that with my home village where I come from. I simply said to ChatGPT, "Hey, I know about these and that sources. Can they help me
Yeah.
in that question?" And obviously, by doing so, you train the AI for others.
Mm-hmm. This is what's different using AI. It's not Google where you are asking it a question and there's an answer and then you go on and you do something else. It's supposed to be a conversation back and forth, refining the answer by refining your prompt in subsequent communications with AI. Randy, can you give me this link in the private chat so that I can click on it? Because that's a good point. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I could bet that Randy also tried it out.
yeah, it's this. He's our resident AI guru. That's for darn sure. Okay. So, and Hillary's saying she's been away since RootsTech. She spent a week in Yorkshire. All right. Well, thank you for giving me a little bit more perspective. One of the things to mention is they say that about 30 to 40,000 people were there at any given point in person in the building, but it didn't feel like that many. The bulk of who attended were those of you who attended virtually. I watched the keynotes from my hotel room, knowing that if I could rest and practice my breathing, oh, geez, then I could possibly spend more time in the exhibit hall, discovering what's new, etc. So I was partially there and partially virtual. All right. Thank you, Frank. It looks
You're welcome.
like you're about ready, Hillary. Is that true? Let me pull you up.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's, okay, I'm going to remove my shared screen and add yours to the stage. And we'll see what you've got here. Oh, okay. Well, first of all, it looks more friendly with the green. I like that.
Now, I don't know if this is anything local. I've only been using WikiTree on my tablet up until today because I've been away. So I only have my tablet to do things on. So
Right.
it may look different on a tablet or on a phone to what it looks, and it may also be related to whether you've got any extensions on. Because I usually
I have a suggestion. In the middle bottom is the little pop-up where you could click to stop sharing, but next to that on the right, hide that so we can see the tabs that it is obscuring.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can certainly scroll down and let us see what else we've got. Because much of it's the same, but there's a lot more differences because this is changed. These things have changed. And
well, you know what the green does? It sets off the tabs better, so we know we're on the family tab. When it was just black and white, white with black lettering, you didn't see them as tabs. So the navigation is more evident. And I'm particularly relating to that. All the icons, the sources, the family group sheet, and these tabs. That just makes it a lot more user-friendly looking, if that's a term. Well, good.
Yeah, because if you scroll down, you see things have changed. I have a browser, the WikiTree browser extension on, which means my categories all show up here. If I didn't have it on, they'd be at the bottom usually. Now I don't know. I could disable it. Shall I try disabling it and see if we're
okay.
Let's see. There is a way to disable it if I can remember how to do it.
So this is illustrating for us that there is an extensive WikiTree browser extension to turn on and turn off the view of it, etc. The view of an ancestor profile.
I know what I need to do.
It's okay. Just show us what you got. It's all right.
If I can get this to slide, that's it. Maybe it's, and then refresh the page.
Okay.
That is a difference that it makes to having the browser extension on or not having the browser extension on. So I prefer the browser extension, but I know there has been issues with some of the extensions that they have because they've had to change some of how those work because of the new updates and things to WikiTree. So so this is probably what I may have been seeing on my tablet more. I've not actually looked at that many of my own profiles, but but there are things that have changed. Obviously, how it looks has changed. It was a lot more. I'm trying to think how it certainly has changed, even for the people that haven't got extensions on.
It was it looked too generic before for my taste. I relate well to color, background blocks of information, etc. It helps break up the page. I don't respond well to a typed text, whatever.
This is where the categories show if you haven't got the extension on, all at the bottom there.
Yeah.
Which is not. If it works for people, but it depends how prominent you want that to be. But obviously, if you've got the browser extension on, then you are going to get that showing up on any profile that you go to. And if you like using the categories, then that's good. You know, you can it's in a more prominent place. The edit function is different. You have to go here to edit the person.
Yes.
Whereas before you had the tabs for the edit and that. And you notice without the extension, you've only got the ancestors and descendants showing up in the tabs there now.
Had a lot fewer tabs there.
Yeah.
So the browser extension, and is this Chrome? What is your browser here?
I've got a Chrome, but the browser extension, the WikiTree browser extension works on Chrome. It works on Firefox, and I think people can use it. You also have it on, some of the tablets and things as well. But sometimes some of the features don't work the same depending on what device you got it on. But I think they're trying to make it nicer for people, whatever device they're using.
Okay. So you had a great plug for WikiTree last week, because Roberta Estes said that the curated profiles over here on WikiTree are phenomenal. And they truly are. And I made the comment, and will keep saying the comment, I wish that we had this much care from volunteers to provide sources and do the narrative in the way of a biography on individuals that aren't even their own people. When you do your source-a-thons and your connect-a-thons and all that, it's just phenomenal, the quality in this one world tree versus what we're seeing, unfortunately, at Family Search. The change that, if I were to come and make propose a change on your Buckle family person, your Joseph Buckle, could I go in and change it immediately, or is it locked?
It's open because of the age that he is. He was born in 1870. He was born before 1875, so yes. He has to be open. So he's open.
Yes.
But having said that, if I'm managing that profile, it should show up for me that somebody's
somebody changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't dare touch a profile like this. It's so well fleshed out.
Yeah.
You can't fake this kind of research and showing all of this with the census transcription, abstract. By the way, Frank and Hillary, you guys weren't late. We are the ones that sprang forward 1 hour. It was the weekend of RootsTech.
I knew it was. I knew that the time changes were a different week than that they are over here. I think we don't change till towards the end of the month. So
yeah, so we're going to have a little conundrum toward the end of the month too. So don't feel badly.
Yeah. I like the way the DNA matches are here. Actually, they've come up. But anybody that's DNA tested and they're a member, and they put the DNA up, it comes up. So I've got a couple here that are both related to my must connect to my great grandfather. This is my great grandfather. So
okay.
These are people that I probably connected with on Ancestry through their DNA.
So we got some comments here. Let's see. Frank said, I don't have the green myself, but that can help people with visibility programs a lot. So Frank, have you not installed the WikiTree app for your browser? Maybe that's the difference.
I have, but I didn't found that option at the moment.
All right.
I think I will have to click through all the options once again.
Okay. And then refresh the page, after you've changed, because there are a lot of options in that WikiTree.
That's just the browser. Yeah, that's just the browser one. There's the sourcer that I use to help we create a lot of the sources that I've got on my profiles so that they look nice and they've got the information in there. That has got a lot of options on it as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, so another thing, Karen says she likes a larger font size, but and I think it's what she means, and she likes the color with the extension.
Yeah.
And Gwen says, I noticed that after editing in a subsection of a profile, you are still in the edit screen. You now have to click to return to the profile. And if you want to see the whole profile, same thing in projects. I think that's kind of understandable.
Yeah. Some things that you used to be able to quite easily do when you save something we were having issues with at the weekend. But I think they are gradually, as people are reporting any problems they've had with it, then gradually these things are being sorted out. So if you experience a problem with it, you just need to go to there is a post in the genealogist to genealogist forum, or otherwise known as G2G forum, for any issues people are having. And there's also, if you're having issues and you've got an extension installed, and it might be the extension that's
okay, so click on help and show them where the genealogist to genealogist forum is on WikiTree.
Right, this is the community forum.
Yep.
And this is the first thing that comes up is the new WikiTree is here. So basically, that's probably that's probably the place to go to, where go there. And if there's there'll be a link. I'm sure there'll be a link if it's not the right place to go. That looks like it was it's being looked at, because 4 hours ago Chris Whitten had posted something. So
yeah. So there's hundreds of comments back and forth in that one category under genealogist to genealogist. Sherry's pointing out red-green is the most common color blindness challenge. You know, it's really hard to be totally inclusive. It really is, and I understand that.
Yeah.
It's like it was not easy for me to cross the road in my electric wheelchair because of the train tracks in the middle of the road in downtown Salt Lake City. I had to be sure, because this is not my good jazzy, it's my traveling electric chair that can easily get caught in that track if I'm not going perfectly perpendicular to the track as I cross. Okay, well, thanks for that update. I appreciate that.
All I can say is that if people go on to it, if they're on there, they just need to really just investigate everything and see how it works now, and see if it works differently. That's the only way you're going to learn, is by trying it, really.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Frank, you have a friend that has a challenge with visual acuity. Talk to me about that. Oops, let me pull you up. There you go. Well, I keep adding you to the stage and it's not adding you.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, the last time I visited her, the whole PC was changed to colors with just green and violet, because every other color that could be visible was simply blurred for her. So these were the only colors where she has enough contrast to see them.
You know, it used to bug Cousin Russ when somebody would have a beautiful blog post, but the text was not black, it was gray.
Yeah.
So it was hard for him, even though it was a white background, if it was gray text. And he would frequently, you know, if I said, you got to see this post, he'd copy and paste it into Word, and then select all and made it black text so that he could actually read it.
And
Yeah. Okay.
with the WikiTree app, you can change that all.
Mhm.
Everything, every little detail you can change.
Okay, so you can get around that. And Sean is saying that he's been motivated by this discussion. He hasn't looked at his WikiTree since 2008. So
Oh,
Hillary,
that's a long time ago.
since you talk about it every week, it's finally paid off. You're going to get back into it. Yeah, pastels are bad, and great that your friend has control and can make it work for her.
Mhm.
All right, well, now I would like to pull all the panelists up and talk about something that was hard for me. I'm going to show this on my screen. And what we are looking at is something I discovered in the library and that set me back when I was doing some research. So let me share my screen. Okay, add it to the stage. What you are looking at is the graphic of my the inventory of Paul Froman's estate. Now, Paul Froman had his will entered into Will Book A, page 46, Lincoln County, Kentucky. It was in 1783. And on the 27th day, come on, let's get this going here. On the 27th day of March, because the court only met every quarter, so every 3 months, his executors, Edmund, Peter, and Christian, came and gave their appraisal to the clerk of the court. And I about fainted because I found that my ancestor was an enslaver. And this jarred me greatly. Now, I will say the names of David and Sib and Nanny and Nancy and Helen and Becky, Becke, and Sarah, and then on to the next page, Sib and David, along with a large pot and hooks, a gun, books, parcel of pewter, fresh pork, a skillet, a bed and furniture, and a large brass kettle. So I'm telling you what has happened to me. I've advised other people in the past what to do when they find this in their ancestry. And I don't want to talk about making me feel better, because I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be alive and well. I want to talk about the logistics of what do you do. Now, I immediately posted about this over on Substack, I think. But I need to add this to slave databases for the locality, for the time period, for who the enslaver was, etc. And spread the word. Now, one of the things that and I've had time to think about this, but at the moment that you came up, Sherry Snodgrass out there, my gal on the YouTube side, about the moment she came by me in the family search library, I had just discovered this and I could hardly speak of it. But now I can say that the next step is for me to find the distribution of the assets of the estate, which is going to be hard, because when you look at all of the digital images, they do not include any of the distribution of assets. Sometimes they had to sell to pay creditors, etc., or sell the land, whatever. That would tell us where these people went. These were souls. These were people. In fact, some of them, if you have a woman named Sib and a little girl named Sib, they're likely mother daughter or maybe grandmother daughter. I don't know. But they're clear, and there's a man named David and there's a boy named David. Yeah, there's the 10 Million Name Project. I did speak with one of my friends who is a person of color, who is one that I will go and speak with when I say, what should I do? And she said, you know what to do. She saw me help her with her DAR application, and the rest of that is history. And I need to be able to take that research as far as I can on these individuals. I don't care who owns the copper pot, the copper pot, and the old bedstead has likely, the furniture's likely been used as kindling. The books probably are musty and old if they've survived at all. Yes, now so the first thing I thought of was the distribution of the estate. Doesn't exist digitally. So my next thing that I plan to do is to talk on the phone and write to and thank the people that are at the courthouse to see if that has come to light since the records were microfilmed and subsequently digitized, because that was the process. It wasn't that Family Search went into Lincoln County, Kentucky and did digitization. It was one of those that had been microfilmed years and years ago. You can tell when you're looking at the whole collection, the whole digital collection. And Karen has the next best thing to talk about. Is I need to find the children, which are all of whom, to my knowledge, are mentioned in the will, and see what happens with their estates and land transactions. And Betty Lou's saying, yeah, that's a good idea. Boy, I'm out of breath just talking about this. Yes, probate and land records often have wonderful and horrifying surprises about our ancestors. I gotta breathe. So I'll probably keep you informed as to how it goes. I can't even begin to understand what happened. I'm really quite short of breath. Dan, I'm going to switch gears abruptly and have you. I need to breathe better, so I need to quit talking for a little while. So I'd like to know if you would share your screen and talk to us about what it is you're coming up with for your genealogy assistant, because you're changing you're adding things left and right. In fact, I asked you to tell people what we're planning. I really need to breathe.
So if you are new to me, what I do is.
Oops, I just turned him off.
Wrong one.
I know. Just a second. Did I remove him totally?
Nope.
I'm back.
Thank you for bringing him back. But you can remove everybody else from the stage so he can talk.
So my background is I was a developer, designer, particularly focusing on what's known as user interface and user experience. And generally, my interests lie in productivity. So building stuff that can help genealogists become more productive in their day-to-day work, eliminating busy tasks, and kind of streamlining together all of the different genealogy platforms out there. One of the pieces of software that I make is called Genealogy Blurring Tool. And it's a piece of software that's free. It's available for Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Firefox. But what it does is it will automatically blur any kind of sensitive information in the page that you're viewing in a live view. So it's kind of physically blurred right in the page. And this is designed for people who are building screencasts, people who are doing kind of online education, people who are interested in sharing their ancestry DNA results, sharing screencasts, teaching people how to use Ancestry. So this is a tool for content creators so that they can focus on creating the content that everybody wants to see instead of having to worry about things like editing software or different using screenshots instead of video that are edited in Photoshop. It's a way to really simplify the creation of different educational contents from genealogists. And one of the features that I added recently is a lot of the different DNA websites, they don't necessarily differentiate between living people and deceased people in the context of the web page. So there has to be, in terms of the interface, some kind of delineation between showing somebody who's living or deceased in order for the software to kind of understand, well, this is a person that's living and I should blur that person. I shouldn't display that information. But what the most recent update that I've released does is it does some kind of smart math, and it does it on the fly, so it blurs it in a live view. But it's much better now at recognizing, for example, a living person when you're viewing the profile detail page of somebody in Ancestry, or a living person in an Ancestry DNA tree of one of your somebody whose tree you can manage. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to see a living person in somebody else's DNA tree, but in your own tree, and if you manage that person and view their page in Ancestry DNA, it would display living people. So what the update does is it kind of comprehensively fixes a lot of these small little spots where living people could show up in order to make kind of a more comprehensive solution.
Excellent. Okay, I'm breathing a little better. And what I've done is I brought up the blurring tool. Let me share the link to it in the chat. Well, I guess Control V isn't good enough. I mean, I have to have the control, not just the V. And also, this is the Genealogy Assistant, and this one has is a $2.95 a month or one-time payment of $24. That helps us with our actual research as opposed to the blurring tool that is ever so useful when it comes to being able now to go look at my DNA matches and have the blurring tool turned on to protect the right to privacy of my living cousin. Sounds good. And it's really in a variety of screens. The list, the individual profile, here it is at my heritage in the list, here it is in a fan chart, or in the pedigree chart. Thank you for doing this. Good work.
Yeah, it's definitely a passion project of mine, and I'm happy to share it with everyone. A lot of people have sent me a lot of kind messages about it that's really helped with their workflow and producing content, and I think that's really awesome.
Yes. Okay, so I would like to talk a little bit about what you and I did the other day about Substack.
Definitely.
And we created a recording on how to set up an account over on Substack. And let me pull it up. Setting up a new account may be something that people who follow Dear Myrtle might like to do. You don't have to do it. I'm still doing Mondays with Myrt every other Monday. What's different, and I explained this in our video from Friday, is that I will not be on Dear Myrtle's Facebook group very much. It will be in a very restricted, limited manner. And here's how that will look. I'll write a post, a short subject video with Dan or with Ellen or whomever, and it will be posted on Substack. And if it's a video, it will go on YouTube. So from a YouTuber point of view, it looks the same. You can follow me that way there. But on Facebook, I want to phase out my activity on Facebook. I'm getting tired of having incursions from the powers that be. So what you will see in the Facebook Dear Myrtle group are occasionally a graphic that comes from that Substack post and a link to get to that post. Now, you may have noticed that bloggers have figured out that, like think of Megan Schmolenack. She puts the link as the first comment in her post. Because if you put it up in the main part with the graphic, in the main post, it's very likely that it will get pulled. The problem is that by default, no matter how many times you change it, when there are a number of responses or comments on a post in Facebook, it isn't that first post that she makes or first comment that she makes isn't first anymore. It's buried, sometimes totally hidden, until you click all and then scroll back up, etc. Well, that's a lot of rigmarole to go through, and I don't like that. But I will do that for a few months until people get the hang of it. So one of the things that we mentioned was, and I'm going to share this screen. Okay. I'm going to add it to the stage and we'll zoom in. I am not signed in. This is substack.com. You can always go to substack.com and type in Dear Myrtle. By the way, you have a really good recorded voice because I listened to our work again, Dan. Anyway, you get a number of choices here. You get the profile known as Dear Myrtle, that first item on the list. And here's a publication called Dear Myrtle's Village Square. So what's the difference? Dear Myrtle's Village Square is where I officially make a genealogical post. That's why it's that term, Village Square. They took some of the good names already. And so then you can click to go there and view something. The profile, Dear Myrtle, might be me finding a cute meme that I like somewhere on the internet that I might like to share, or something encouraging about the not so little redheaded girl. My official work will be posted on the Village Square. Now, it's going to ask you if you want to subscribe. And Dan and I went through the process of subscribing. You don't have to share your contact list, none of that. But one of the options here, if you don't want to subscribe to the to Substack is to just click this no thanks, and it will take you directly to Dear Myrtle's Village Square, where the top item happens to be the most recent post. It was from Friday, but you cannot like it without either signing in, or if you don't have an account, click the created an account. All right. So, and you can't comment. Oh, you can today. You can comment. I can't believe it. Well, they're changing things all the time. Let's say no thanks. We're back to the main village square. Below the village square are other items that I may have posted lately, including my recommendations. There's Genealogy Matters with Robin Stewart. It opens up a new page. And when it's subscribed, it doesn't mean you're going to be paying anybody. It's like subscribing to an email list. Okay. There's the Project Kin. There's Maureen Taylor, the photo detective. This is the link to my YouTube channel. It'll take you there directly. And here's some of the posts I've made of late. Okay, so apparently you can comment. I can't believe they'll let you comment when you're not signed in.
I wonder if you actually tried to leave a comment, whether it would ask you to sign up at the end of it.
I'm doing that. Let's see. That was exactly my thought. Let's see what it says if I try to post. Yeah, I got to create my profile. All right. So what, we go back to the village square. Go to Dear Myrtle. It's hard to do it when you're not RTLE. So for a long time, you can just click. If somebody shares the link to one of these posts, you can come in and look at it. You just can't like it or comment. Good thing we are both on the same wavelength, Dan, about wonder if you type something and then, yeah. All right. Now, when you click subscribe to Dear Myrtle, you have to enter your choice of an email address. And if you don't have a profile, you will be asked to do that. Now, let me show you what it looks like for me signed in as a content producer. And by the way, once you have a Substack account, you can make posts, you can send notes, you can send private communications with people. We're going to be talking about more elements of Substack as time goes on. Okay. Let's see. How many posts do you need before you can do a publication? You can start on day one with just one post. What it did when I was, let me take this away. What Substack did was take any of the posts that I made as Dear Myrtle and pull them in. Because I had not created a publication until I had several posts. Now, Sherry loves the email notifications from Substack. I don't like them. I've turned them off. And that's probably a thing I will be doing a recording on, to show you how to modify the notifications that you can get from Substack. And probably the reason why is every time somebody likes something, I get an email. Every time somebody subscribes, I get an email. Every time the people I am subscribed to, like Project Kin or, I get an email. So I'm getting 5,000 emails. Remember that one of the deciding factors, aside from the fact that we have a whole bunch of nice other genealogy writers that we haven't been interfacing with yet, is the fact that very well-respected professional journalists who used to write for the New York Times, the Washington Post, other newspapers, where they did not have the editorial freedom since January 20th that they previously enjoyed, they have quit their positions and they have opened a Substack account. They have a publication and they are continuing to do their work. And in their case, you have the option of contributing to their, if they have 500,000 people following them, which a couple of them do, and they each paid $5 a month, that mounts up. So there is a viable way for them to replace their lost income during the next undetermined amount of time. I remember when blogging was odd, and then bloggers became influencers. Bloggers took Ancestry down when Ancestry decided they would take our blogs and put them behind the paywall because our blog post talked about Paul Froman or whatever, and that information would be useful. And boy, did we come down on Ancestry for doing that. If they wanted to correlate our work as genealogy writers, speaking about our ancestors in our blog posts, it doesn't go behind their paywall. And we basically got them to reverse it. And that was one of the first instances where genealogy bloggers could exert their influence with one of the top genealogy websites in the internet. Now we're seeing newspapers folding because people aren't subscribing to paper format. We still take the local one. It's like 6 pages. But I hardly ever look at it. I read it online. Mr. Myrt likes the paper. He's just not quite as digital as perhaps old Myrt is. So to each his own. Melinda says that among the fantastic genealogy writers she's found over there was somebody from Wichita Falls, Texas. And remember that not only does Melinda live in that great state, but her ancestors were there. And so she is interested in such things. Karen is saying the writers on genealogy have been having amazing finds on Substack. I like that you can follow different things and keep them separate and still need to figure out all genealogy to get it. Okay, I get that. Let's go back to my shared screen and I'll show you the other thing I'm experimenting with. This is my account. Let me turn off that. On my dashboard, I have Dear Myrtle's Village Square, and I also have Genia Quilters, and I'm doing an experiment with the Genia Quilters group. Right now it's private. Apparently I didn't know I was doing that. No, that's not true. Oh, yes, it is true. I can't show it to you. I haven't been here for a while. Let me put the code in 737. Okay. I'm thinking, why can't we decide as a group of genealogy quilters to give all of us author rights on a publication in a private area? This might work for a Genealogy Society board as opposed to a Facebook group. I'm not saying I'm doing this to my Mondays with Myrt panelists. It's just a possibility. Okay, so far I have not made a publication, but I have a series of, let me actually go here. All right. Yes, I have made a publication. I thought I had. So the most recent post made, and most of these are by me, going out to this small group of members is something I ran across with paper piecing. That's a type of quilting. This particular article was this wonderful gal, Elvira, who said, and I shared where the source was and everything. J.D. Thomas, a good friend, said, if there's a mistake, it's part of the plan. And already I have a response here. I have to look at this. Anyway, if it's a crooked stitch, it's my love. What an interesting concept. So you see, this doesn't have to be public if we don't want it to be. Yeah, we'll see how that works. So far, Kel Petranik, who also was at RootsTech, has joined as a fellow author. What we do in our Genia Quilters group is very active on Facebook. We share where we are on a project. Like a few months before Christmas, I was laying out a big, huge Christmas quilt, and I decided it looked like there was too much white background. So I laid little bits of fabric here and there saying, does it look better or is it just me? And do you like the green in the corners of each block better or the red? And those are the kind of discussions we have. They're very concentrated, not for general consumption. I don't know that you're into quilt making, Dan.
I enjoy looking at them, yeah.
Well, that's good. But it's just an experiment. I would not make a decision to advise people to go over to Substack if I did not consider it safe. For instance, you notice I had to put in secret number for that very private place. I had to do quite a bit of research. I've consulted with the folks who are already there that are genealogy writers and family history authors who tell their family story in the narrative format. And is it time? Yeah, it's almost time for us to stop because Myrt's book club is next. It's all good. It's all good. I want to tell you, as long as we're getting there, it's almost time for us to wrap this up. We are going to be studying chapter 7 in book club. And chapter 7 is kind of interesting. Let me share my screen. And thank you, Dan, for helping me. Those of you who have been in my study groups, which is different from a book club, you may remember when we were studying Dr. Thomas W. Jones's Mastering Genealogical Proof, and we were trying to, come across a good way of explaining what's the difference between a proof statement, a proof summary, and a proof argument. And this was my way of expressing it. Let me get there from here. Except that I literally took a piece of paper from my printer and a green and yellow and red marker and drew these circles and filled them in, scribbling. I actually don't know where that is. I've kept it for years, but it's no longer there. This is what we're going to be discussing during book club today. And some of us have kind of complicated oddities that need the structured format that Dr. Jones suggests to write a proof argument about one item, one ancestral attribute. The birth year of my grandmother is the example that I'll show. I've done it in years past. Because there is a lot of conflicting evidence. And if it's a proof statement, it's a document that says so-and-so is the widow of so-and-so. Could be correct, Could be incorrect. It might be that there are two women by that name. We don't know. It's just a direct proof statement. A proof summary is where maybe you have to explain things like a typographical error that could be obvious. When you know you're talking about somebody born in the 19th century and the date that shows up is 1955. Or an approved summary might be where you're taking a couple of items and arriving at a conclusion about one ancestral research question. It's not a bio. It's not a, let me take you through all the things I've done in researching this program. In fact, Dr. Jones says we need to remove ourselves as the I person. We don't use that in our written conclusions. It helps us be more academic in our approach. So that's what we're going to be doing next. And we really need to take a break so old Myrt can breathe a little more. And gosh, look at all the things we got to discuss today. Great work, panelists. I totally appreciate you. Thank you, Hillary and Frank, for coming in today and picking up with the conversation. Thanks to Melinda and to Sherry for running the YouTube site. It looks like everything went pretty well. Anything left before we go? Randy, maybe? Are we okay? Oh, he's sharing the link to me and Dan. Did that get out on the YouTube side? I'll put it out again. Thank you. Anything else? All right, I think we're good. All right. I'm Dear Myrtle, your not so retired friend in genealogy. Happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap.